Alright, you guys, this is another Baber video. If you have not subscribed, please do so. This one says, Defeating Adventism, Short 63, Seventh-day Adventist Ellen White forces unbiblical words on Jesus. And I'm going to show, based on the comments section, as of right now, there's 25 comments. You can't see it because of my face. But I'm going to show, based on the comment section, that Baber is doing that very same thing.
So this short video on Adventism is going to do two things. It's going to prove what Adventists love to say all the time is wrong. And here's what Adventists love to say, that Ellen White does nothing but just point to the scriptures. Why are you Christians so worried about Ellen White? Well, she doesn't. She adds to the scripture.
All right, so my stance as a non-Seventh-day Adventist historicist Sabbath keeper is that sentiment is true. She adds to scripture. And the one point of contention that I have that establishes that stance is the plurality of worlds conversation.
Adds things in her visions that are nowhere to be found in the scriptures. And secondly, in Adventism, it's a well-known fact that Jesus didn't die on the cross for a single sin. There was no atonement that happened on the cross. The atonement is happening today, and it's been happening since 1844.
All right, so his stance is that the atonement occurred at the cross, but we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean?
So let me demonstrate that to you right here. Let's look at John 19:30. And what does it say? When Jesus had received the sour wine, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. So Jesus said, "It is finished." And that means the atonement was done. But is that what Ellen White taught? No, look with me here. Here's early writings, page 140. And here's her I saw, right? Here's her divine pronouncement. She saw what? She said, "Then I saw Jesus, who had been ministering before the ark containing the Ten Commandments, throw down the censer. He raised his hands and with a loud voice said, 'It is done.'" This is Ellen White making Jesus say something that he never said in the Bible. See, this is the heavenly scene in the sanctuary at the end of probation when Adventist Jesus is going to say, "It is done." But biblical Jesus already said it was done in John 19:30. Once Ellen White says something, Adventists feel like they're free to keep writing about it. Look with me here. Here's one from 1916. "Therefore the day when Jesus shall rise up and proclaim it is finished." See, that has to do with probation. How about one from the 1970s? "Soon Jesus is going to rise from his throne and say, 'It is finished.'" What do you mean soon? Jesus already said it is finished. And when he said it was finished, and he said it was finished in John 19:30, he meant the atonement he paid the price for all sins. But in Adventism, Jesus didn't pay the price. That's why Adventist Jesus has to say it is finished again. And that's why...
All right, so his point of view on their statements is that he paid the price in 1844, whereas that's obviously false. He paid the price at the cross. So he's taking those sentiments out of context. But we're going to go back and look at his verse, and we're going to show that he's doing what he claims Ellen White is doing.
Adventist Jesus has to say it is finished in a scenario that we can't even find in the scriptures. There's no such thing as probation. There's no such thing as an investigative judgment in Levitical priest Jesus that has to say it is finished a second time. That's why Seventh-day Adventism is not Christian, and Ellen White is not inspired by God.
Okay, so he used one single Bible verse to make his claim. I don't know why it's not letting me go to it. There it is. He used one single Bible verse for his claim, and his claim is that everything is finished at the cross, and all sins have been pardoned at the cross. So that's his claim. Now, I'm over here. I'm looking at comments on his thing. He has 25 comments, and only one person had a defensive comment, not an angry defensive comment, but just a rebuttal. And I feel like the sentiments that they make are pretty solid. It says, For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one little tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So that actually shuts down Baber's claim that everything is done. Just because Jesus said it is finished doesn't mean it has all been fulfilled. They continue, whosoever therefore shall break one of the least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. Well, if all sin has been forgiven at the cross, I have no need for the commandments. And he says, for I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall be exceeded the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter the kingdom of heaven. Ye have heard that it was said in them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. And this is Jesus talking. Okay, so the idea of Baber is that all sins have been forgiven at the cross. Well, if that's the case, as long as I have Jesus in my heart, I can disregard Jesus' words that I just read. But a response to what was said is this other individual dropping Matthew 5 without addressing the rest of the New Testament in itself isn't an argument. It's proof texting. So this person's actually saying Matthew 5. Don't drop the entire chapter of Matthew 5. That's proof texting. You have to look at the whole of the New Testament to get your idea. So what is proof texting? Proof texting is the practice of using isolated Bible verses to short passages to support a specific doctrine, belief, or argument without considering their original context, historical settings, or surrounding text. Well, guess what? James Baber just proof texted.